Alright, so today we're going to show you guys how to convert your Graco Edge 2 gun over to a gravity feed style instead of the normal siphon feed style that it comes in. Both guns more or less are going to convert the same way. We're going to use one part, maybe two, depending on which gun you have. If your gun came with the Flex Liner cup, which has a different fitting here, you see it has this female swivel fitting, you're actually going to need to pick up this adapter, which is part number 196468. Once again, that's 196468. There'll be a link to this product in the comments or the description of the YouTube video below. Otherwise, the main part we're really looking at is part number 17S116. And that's going to be for the Edge 2 Plus gun. If you have the regular Edge 2 without the Plus, you would use part number 17S115. And the instructions are going to be pretty much the same. You see me go through the video. It's going to be pretty straightforward. So let's get some of this stuff out of our way. And what we're going to be using, pretty straightforward here. I got a 3/4 inch line wrench. I got an adjustable monkey wrench. I got a 1/4 inch line wrench and 8mm. They're probably not the perfect exact sizes, but that's how I got the job done. And you guys are about to see it happen. So let's go ahead and get it started. And I will show you the one difference with this piece when we get there. So let's go ahead and get it going. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull this breather assembly off of here. And I want to go ahead and break this loose. On mine, I've already gotten loosened up. You might have to put a wrench on here just to break it loose. Once it breaks loose, it should thread right off. Get that off. And you know, I'm not really too worried about that. So I got it this far. Let's go ahead and replicate it on the other one also. So I can show you how it's done on this one because there is a slight difference. This kind of wiggles out. Pop that out of there. So here we are. So at this stage is the only time when there's going to be a difference in how to get these apart. Or how to convert them rather. The difference is you would have to install this fitting into here. And you would do that by using an Allen key and sliding that Allen key in there. And it should find its way out. The other way and the simpler way is there's a notch here. You would just take your adjustable wrench, break it loose, install this piece instead, and then you're pretty much to square one. So from this point forward, we're going to use this example. Because if you followed the steps on the other gun, it's going to look like this at this point. Okay? So what we're going to do is pretty straightforward and easy. And the way I'm going to show you, I will admit, is not the exact same way as in the instructions that are going to come with it. I always recommend you follow the instructions. But if you're watching this video, maybe you were struggling. So I'm going to show you my way. So, I'm actually not going to do too much as far as taking it apart at all. What I'm really going to do right now is loosen up this large nut right here. And this nut, use my adjustable for that. You're just going to break it loose, and once it's a little bit loose, you'll be able to thread it with your hand. So here we go. Let me get this on here. There you see I've broken it loose. And if you notice, I'm holding my trigger down when I do this. This is just force a habit of mine to protect the needle. I'm keeping it pulled away from the nozzle just in case there's any movement or anything. I'm not binding those two parts together. So it's just a force a habit of mine to hold the needle back. Once I've loosened this nut, I'm actually going to back it out until it's flush with this nut that's kind of hidden but closer to the trigger. It might be referred to as the packing nut. I'm not really 100% sure the official part, but it's the smaller nut there. Just going to back this out till it's flush. With it, I'm not actually going to unscrew it. The official instructions have you pretty much removing the whole front end to do this. And this is just my shortcut. At this point, I'm actually just going to wiggle this loose. I'm going to shimmy it, shimmy it, shimmy it. And you see there, I've got a shimmy. I'm going to take it. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to shimmy it back in its home. It actually has a home. And what I mean by that is there's a spot where it cannot really move once it finds its spot. There's little pegs in here. So once it finds those pegs, like right now, I can't spin this freely. I've pushed it up against the housing and it's stuck there. And now I'm just going to retighten this nut. Like I said, this nut, I'm not going to crank it down. It's metal on metal contact. It really can't go much further. I'm just going to snug it up with my wrench. And that's it. So really right there, we've done most of the job. And you could pretty much already see what's happening and how it's almost all the way together. So let's go ahead and open up our box here, which would be the part 17S116. Graco OEM parts. Always use Graco OEM parts. If any of you guys have had the bad luck of ordering these knockoff parts from eBay and Amazon, you know what I mean. So in the kit, we got the instructions and then these two parts. So remember, I told you my way is a little different because Graco has you removing this completely and replacing it with this assembly, which is just the exact same part. The only difference is it doesn't have the Graco logo stamped on it, so now the Graco logo won't be upside down. I guess Graco doesn't like that too much, so they created this one without the logo and they ship it that way. These are identical parts minus that print on the blue ring. So I usually don't actually change this part. I just spin it because number one, it's easier. And then number two, now I keep this as a backup just in case. So if you did want to use this part, it would be a little more complicated. We would have actually removed all these assemblies and took out the needle in order to replace this part. But because I'm showing you my shortcut way, which works seamlessly, we're not actually changing it. We just spin it and we're keeping this as a spare. So the next thing we're going to do is obviously we want to install this cup up here, and it has its own little suction tube and barb. Believe it or not, it's actually easier to change the barb than to try and pull these parts off of here. So I'm just going to go ahead and change the barb. I use a 1/4 inch fitting for this, and we get it on there. Is it a 1/4 inch? There she goes. Broke it loose. It's going to come right out. And this was for the old assembly. If you remember, it came off of this end. So I'll just set that to the side to stay with my siphon cup. And at this point, a lot of people like to install this up here. I actually like to thread this here first. The reason is when you're trying to thread this in after it's been installed on top, you're kind of fighting yourself. So honestly, it's just easier to kind of get it started like this, letting the cup kind of flop around like a fish. But at least it's not fighting me the whole way in. And you see how much simpler that was instead of having to fight the cup sitting in a fixed position. Once it no longer hand threads, I'm going to grab my 1/4 inch line wrench and just snug it up. Probably wouldn't hurt to put a little bit of the non-permanent like sealant or Loctite in there. You don't want something permanent. You probably want some of the weaker stuff there because this is a part that you'll want to get in and out, but we don't want any kind of leakage there. Now we've gotten that far, we're just going to go ahead and install this on top, and you can already see there's not much give and play there, which is why I like to install the barb first. So this just gets a hand thread. Just trying to get away from me here. There we go. And I'm not too worried about the cup position yet because we'll get there once we start tightening everything up. If you kind of wiggle the cup like this, it really makes it easier once you get the threads going. Got it snugged up. So this tube is kind of in the way. There's two ways you can go about it. It's really either left or right side. So in my example, if we're looking at the gun, it's over here on the right side. We're just going to take this and wrap it under the hook kind of keeps it out of your way. Just pay attention that you don't kink it like that. You want to make sure it's breathing on both ends. That's what it should look like there. Nice curvature. Nice curvature. And that is it, guys. That is how you convert it pretty simply and easily. We do not have to disassemble the whole gun, and we're keeping a spare part. If you were to change it and switch these out, I would still recommend keeping this because it is the same part. It's just a different print, so it's always good to have that spare. But that's pretty much how it's done. If you guys have any questions, comments, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, follow us on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube as you're watching now. We also have a pretty active Instagram channel, so check us out on Instagram, JN_equipment. Have a great day out there.